All right, so get this. Today, we're diving deep, deep into the world of Nikola Tesla.
Tesla.
Yeah, the AC current guy.
Right.
But honestly, there's so much more to him. It's unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got these excerpts from like a super in-depth article about him, and just skimming it, I can tell this could be wild.
I'm ready.
It's like he's almost a science fiction character, but he's real.
What struck me right away, like immediately when I was reading about Tesla, was how much he cared about like actually helping humanity.
Really?
Yeah, it was like forget money, forget being famous. That wasn't his goal at all.
Huh. That's pretty rare, right? Most inventors, you think they'd at least be a little tempted by,
Yeah.
getting rich.
Sure, yeah.
But Tesla, he was all about using his, genius to make the world better. Think about it. AC electricity, we use it every single day.
Right.
He could have been a zillionaire off the patents alone.
Easily.
But he made sure it was affordable, that everyone could have it.
That's the thing with Tesla. It was about the idea, not the profit. Like with the Tesla Coil, people think, oh, cool, electric sparks.
Right.
But he was looking at ways to transmit power wirelessly. Imagine a world with no power lines, energy everywhere.
Whoa.
That was Tesla's dream.
Okay, so we've got this genius, totally selfless, way ahead of his time, but it wasn't all easy for him, right? The rivalry with Edison, that was more than just a disagreement over AC versus DC, wasn't it?
Way more. The war of the currents, people call it. It went deep.
Yeah.
You had Edison, the businessman, super smart, protecting his DC investments.
Makes sense.
Then Tesla, he's all about pure science, the best solution, even if it doesn't make him rich.
Huh. And let's be real. Edison had big companies backing him up. They didn't want Tesla messing things up with AC.
Totally disrupted the whole game.
Thankfully, Tesla had some allies too, right? Westinghouse, JP Morgan. They saw what he was doing was important.
And visionaries in their own right. But yeah, the resistance Tesla faced must have been immense.
It's like a story that's still happening today, right? Open source versus big tech companies, new ideas against the established players.
Oh, absolutely. Parallels all over. Tesla was fighting a battle that, in some ways, we're still fighting now.
It's kind of sad, though, isn't it?
Mm.
This guy changed the world, and he died broke. Like he paid a price for his principles.
Yeah, the irony is almost tragic.
His focus on science, not money, it definitely cost him.
He was always relying on patrons, wealthy people to back his projects, and when that went wrong...
The projects went wrong, too.
Often, yeah.
Like the Wardenclyffe Tower, that was his dream. Wireless power across the whole globe.
Ambitious, right?
But Morgan, the financier, pulled out, no more money, and the whole thing collapsed.
A major setback.
It makes you think, did Tesla sacrifice too much? Was it worth it?
Hard to say, but even with the setbacks, his mind was always on the future.
This is where things get really crazy. Tesla wasn't just inventing for his time. He was seeing stuff decades ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Remote control, drones, radar, even hints of the internet.
All that. Back in 1900, he wrote about it. Like he had a time machine or something.
No way. 1900. That's wild.
And it wasn't luck. He understood the science so deeply he could see where it could lead, what was possible.
Like renewable energy, automation, things we're still struggling with.
Tesla was already talking about it. In his article, The Problem of Increasing Human Energy, he's practically begging us to use solar and wind power.
So he's a genius, ahead of his time, concerned about the planet.
Are you gay?
Hold on, my head's spinning. This is a lot to take in.
We're just getting started?
Seriously, there's more.
Oh, yeah, we haven't even touched on X-rays, radio. Tesla did it all.
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with it.
Let's take a break, let this sink in, and then we'll get into the really mind-blowing stuff.
All right. Break it is, but then more Tesla.
You got it. It really is amazing the way his mind worked.
Right. Before the break, we were talking about Tesla predicting the future and stuff.
Yeah, but it's more than predictions. He was inventing things that made all this other tech possible.
Okay, so what else is there? Give me the good stuff, the overlooked Tesla inventions.
Well, for starters, the electric motor, the thing that powers, everything.
Really?
Yep, his AC induction motor design, it's in your fridge, your washing machine, factories. Revolutionary.
So the quiet hum of my fridge, that's Tesla.
Pretty much. And before that, he was doing groundbreaking work with X-rays, even before Röntgen, who usually gets the credit.
Whoa, hold on. So Tesla's playing with X-rays before they were even, a thing.
Yep, he produced some of the first X-ray images in the U.S. way ahead of the curve.
It's like he was always one step ahead, discovering things everyone else was about to find out.
Exactly. And then there's radio. Marconi gets all the fame, but Tesla's research in wireless communication was huge.
Huh. So this is a pattern, huh? Tesla does the work, someone else gets the credit.
There were even legal battles over the patents. Eventually, Tesla got recognized, but
It's like a whole chunk of science history is missing, the Tesla chapter, and we're only now figuring it out.
it happens more than you'd think. Unsung heroes, their contributions get lost, forgotten.
Makes you wonder how many other brilliant people got ignored just because they weren't good at, bragging about themselves.
Right. But in Tesla's case, I think his genius is too big to ignore. It shines through, even after all this time.
His ideas, his inventions, they lasted, didn't they? And his legacy, it still inspires people today.
Absolutely. And speaking of inspiration, think about his impact on popular culture.
Oh, yeah, he's like an icon, right?
Yeah.
The ultimate mad scientist, but in a cool way.
More than that, he represents, futuristic thinking, pushing boundaries.
You see his name everywhere, electric cars, tech companies, even in movies and stuff.
He's become synonymous with innovation, and it's no coincidence that his ideas about clean energy, wireless communication, automation are all super relevant today.
It's like he planted the seeds for all this tech we have now, and it finally grew,
Exactly. But remember, behind all the inventions, there's a real person. Tesla was complex. He had his struggles.
Yeah, we talked about his, obsessive habits, how he lived such a strict life.
Those were part of him, and they probably influenced his work in ways we can't even imagine.
Right, like walking around a building multiple times before going in, always needing things to be in threes.
It's easy to say, oh, he was just eccentric.
Yeah.
But maybe those obsessions, that way of thinking, that was his genius,
Interesting. It makes you think about what's normal, especially for, super creative people.
And it reminds us that brilliance can come with a price. That intense focus, it might have helped to make discoveries, but it also made life difficult.
You mean socially and with money?
Exactly. Tesla's story, it's about the human experience. It's about genius, eccentricity, all mixed together.
Okay, so forgotten inventions, cultural impact, his personality. But what about his education? Was he, formally trained as a scientist?
That's another interesting part. He started at the Austrian Polytechnic in Graz, but he didn't actually finish his degree.
He dropped out.
In a way, yeah. He was mostly self-taught. He had an incredible memory, could visualize things perfectly.
Like he could design whole machines in his head.
Pretty much. Didn't even need blueprints. He saw it all in his mind.
That's crazy.
It shows how differently he thought. Right. Not bound by the usual methods.
He made his own path, driven by curiosity, just wanting to learn everything he could.
He saw things others couldn't, the connections, the possibilities, and that, plus his work ethic, that's what led to the breakthroughs.
It's like he had a gift, seeing things hidden from everyone else.
And his upbringing played a role, too. His mom, Georgina, she was an inventor herself of, household tools and things.
Really? So it runs in the family?
Maybe. But even with support, Tesla's life wasn't easy. He had setbacks, money problems, people made fun of him.
People made fun of Tesla.
Even geniuses get ridiculed sometimes.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But he never gave up, did he? He kept going, even when people thought he was crazy.
Which brings us back to his vision, that incredible ability to see the future. He was inventing things decades ahead of their time.
Like that whole internet thing we talked about.
Exactly. One of his big dreams was this global communication network, just like the internet we use now.
He was thinking about the internet back in the 1900s. Seriously.
He believed we could send messages, pictures, information instantly, all wirelessly.
That's mind-blowing.
And the Wardenclyffe Tower, the project that failed, that was supposed to be part of it, this global communications system.
So it wasn't just about power. It was about connecting the whole world.
He was a visionary, able to see beyond the limitations of his time.
100 years ahead of everyone else.
And his vision didn't stop there. He was also a pioneer in robotics. Did you know that?
Robotics? Like robots?
Well, not robots exactly, but he demonstrated remote-controlled boats back in 1898. Imagine that.
1898. That's like the horse and buggy era. What did people think?
It was at Madison Square Garden in New York, but it didn't get much attention then. Now, though.
Now we have drones, self-driving cars.
Exactly. Tesla's invention, it laid the foundation for all of that. Robotics, automation, it all goes back to him.
And he saw it coming. He saw machines doing our work, making our lives easier.
He understood human nature. He wanted to use tech to improve our lives, not just make us more productive, but to free us from danger, from boring tasks.
Makes sense. It's like he was always trying to make the world a better place, using science to solve problems, make things fairer.
That's a great way to put it. And his concern for humanity, it went beyond technology. He cared deeply about the environment, too, you know?
Oh, really? I never knew that about him. Like, what, saving the rainforest kind of stuff?
Well, not exactly, but he understood the need for sustainable energy way before it was popular.
He was worried about pollution and stuff back then.
He was concerned about using up resources, the damage from burning coal and oil, all that. He believed in solar power, wind power, harnessing the Earth's energy.
So he was like an early environmentalist.
In a way, yeah. He experimented with geothermal, hydroelectric power, all sorts of things.
Did he like actually DO anything with those ideas?
Oh, yeah. He designed the hydroelectric power plant at Niagara Falls, a huge achievement for its time.
No way. So he wasn't just talking, he was actually building things to help the planet.
Niagara Falls was a big deal, the first large-scale use of renewable energy. It showed Tesla was serious about finding clean solutions.
It's incredible, advocating for clean energy over a century ago. This guy was truly ahead of his time.
His ideas about the environment are more relevant than ever. Tesla's genius wasn't just about technology. He understood the big picture, how it all connects, nature, science, human progress, all of it.
Okay, so we've got this amazing inventor, visionary thinker, eco-warrior. But there's this other side to him too, right? The military stuff.
Right, that's a more complex part of his story. During the World Wars, Tesla offered his expertise to the U.S. government.
He wanted to help with the war effort.
He believed technology could be used for defense, to protect the country, prevent attacks.
And that's where the whole death ray thing comes in.
Exactly. The Teleforce is what he called it, this weapon that could create a shield around the U.S., make it impossible to attack.
A death ray shield. Sounds like something out of a comic book.
It was controversial, definitely. But Tesla saw it as a way to prevent war, not start one.
So it was a defensive weapon, not for attacking.
That was his intention. He thought technology, used the right way, could bring peace.
It's a crazy idea, but also kind of scary, you know. A weapon that powerful.
It never got past the theory stage, thankfully, but it shows how Tesla thought, pushing boundaries sometimes into dangerous territory.
He knew his inventions could be used for good or bad, right?
I think so. His research into particle beams, wireless transmission for the military, it shows he was thinking about the ethics of science.
Like, with great power comes great responsibility kind of thing.
Exactly. Tesla's life, it's a reminder that we have to be careful with our discoveries, use them wisely.
So forgotten inventions, pop culture impact, the complex personality, the military stuff. Wow, this is a lot to process.
And we're not done yet. There's still more to explore about Tesla's life, his later years, and the legacy he left behind.
I'm ready. Bring on the next chapter of the Tesla saga.
Let's dive in.
It's crazy, right? All this innovation, all these struggles. It's like Tesla's life was a movie or something.
Yeah, a movie with a lot of twists and turns.
We've talked about his inventions, his vision, his unique way of seeing the world, even the military stuff. But his later years, it seems like a whole different chapter.
Definitely. It's kind of sad, actually, all his achievements. But his last years were pretty lonely. He had money problems.
Doesn't really fit the image of the brilliant inventor, wowing everyone with his, like, electric shows.
It's a side of him people don't often see. He was living in a hotel, the New Yorker Hotel, in New York City, still working, still coming up with ideas.
But his, like, star had faded.
Yeah, his influence wasn't what it used to be. He was kind of forgotten, in a way.
It's almost tragic, right? This guy who wanted to give the world wireless power ending up, like, struggling to pay his bills in a hotel room.
It is. It shows you fame and fortune, they're not always guaranteed, even for geniuses, especially if they're not focused on making money.
And that's when his eccentricities, they became more noticeable, right? The pigeon thing, for example.
Oh, yeah, the pigeons.
Yep.
He was really attached to them, spent hours feeding them in the park, watching them.
He had, like, a favorite pigeon, right?
He did, a white one. He called her his companion. Kind of strange, I know, but...
It's easy to say, oh, he was just a weird old man, but maybe he was more than that.
Maybe. Think about it. This guy devoted his life to science, technology, pushing the limit of human knowledge. And he finds comfort in pigeons.
Maybe he was lonely, you know, needed a connection.
It shows that even geniuses, they have feelings, they need companionship, just like everyone else.
Adds another layer to his story, doesn't it? Makes it more human somehow.
Definitely. And it reminds us that science, progress, it's all driven by people with all their flaws and quirks. We focus on the inventions, the breakthroughs, but...
But there's a person behind it all, with a story.
Exactly. Tesla's story, it's a reminder of that human element.
So Tesla, the outsider, the guy who did things his own way, challenged everyone's assumptions.
He paid a price for it, no doubt. His methods, his obsession with science, not caring about money, it all led to those difficult later years.
It's a cautionary tale, I guess, but also inspiring. He never gave up on his ideas. And look at the impact he had.
He might have died forgotten, but his inventions, his theories, they're everywhere today.
AC power, wireless technology, robotics, it all goes back to him.
It's like he planted the seeds and now we're living in the world he imagined.
Crazy to think about it that way. His story shows us progress, real innovation. It takes risks, challenging the way things are done.
And it makes you question what success really means, right? Tesla wasn't rich, didn't get all the awards, but his influence, you can't deny it.
So wrapping up this whole deep dive into Tesla's world, what do you think is the most important thing for people to remember about him?
I think it's that real innovation comes from thinking differently, challenging the rules. Tesla did that, and even though it was hard, he never stopped.
And he wanted to make the world a better place. That was always his goal.
Right, the pursuit of knowledge, wanting to help humanity, that's powerful stuff, even when things get tough.
His legacy, it's not about money or fame. It's about the impact he had, the things he made possible, and still inspire us today.
Tesla's story is about the power of the human mind, what we can achieve when we push beyond the limits. It's a story of triumph. Even with the tragedy, it's a story that makes you think, what are Bodhi capable of? Maybe there's a little bit of Tesla in all of us, you know? That spark of genius waiting to be ignited.
I like that. So who are the Teslas of today? Who's out there changing the world, even if we don't know their names yet? That's something to think about.
Absolutely. Tesla's story reminds us to look for those hidden geniuses, the ones pushing boundaries, the ones who might just change everything.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of Nikola Tesla. It's been a wild ride.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about Tesla. He's one of a kind.